Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. This is, I think, the moment a lot of people have been waiting for. I don't know why, but you guys seem to love drama, and there's been very, very minute, tiny bits of drama between me and Montoya in the past that you guys love to just create. So it's about time that we hash it all out here on today's show for no reason at all, because there is
You
none.
said there would be no hashing.
No, I know, none. But yeah, so Montoya, welcome. How are you doing? Hopefully everything's good.
Thank you very much, SaltEMike. I've got so much to say. I feel we've got to work through this and bury the hatchet between us that has just been bothering me for at least 5 hours since I learned about this.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just we obviously, if people watch my second channel, I've been watching a lot of your videos lately, and more importantly, because there's a lot of the topics that you touch on I don't know anything about, especially the stuff around the crypto stuff and the Star Atlas.
We'll work through this together. Take my hand.
No,
and
I just want to say I appreciate it. You've really educated me on a lot of the things, and
I'm glad. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Always happy to see people learn.
Yeah, because I don't know much about crypto. I don't own any crypto, and
it's kind of niche. It still is, even though it's been around for that long. But I thought you'd be on camera too. Why is it just me?
Because I only have one camera, and
so I don't get to see your face.
I can plug in one. I can try and find my webcam and plug it in. But
Wilson, I know what you look like. He's a very handsome man, by the way.
True. Yeah. So this isn't a professional podcast at all. So, yeah, you're not going to see me, unfortunately. But you just reminded me that it's something that I can fix very easily now, so I'm going to do that for the next one. The next time I have a guest.
I've only done a handful of podcasts in the past. So this is one of the very few, but I always get told I should do more of them, and I get pushed on by certain individuals, like Griffin Gaming, who does the Soul Citizen.
Yeah, you should.
Goes, Montoya, you should go do a podcast. I'm like, fine, I'll get on it. So here I am.
Yeah, you should. I think it's fun it's obviously fun to talk about the game. I don't know how you feel about your YouTube channel, but do you feel disconnected sometimes? Like, you post the video, you put your thought out there, and it with YouTube as a platform, I do find it kind of hard to communicate after the video's out with the people who are taking in the information as much.
Not at all. I don't get any sense of that at all. But what I find humorous on the topic of the YouTube videos is I'll have opinions sometimes, which are just, I look what's happening out there, and I'll have an opinion, and my opinion doesn't correlate with anything else out there. I'm like, you know what? I'll just put a video and say this and see how it goes. And sometimes it does amazingly well, and other times it just bombs. Give or take. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But overall, you just got to keep on pumping the content out. The algorithm demands it of you.
Yes, sadly.
And if it works, it works. Yeah, it's a finicky little.
When you say bomb, do you mean like bomb view count wise, or just like the sentiment in the comments, or both?
The view count, because generally how the algorithm works, as you know, is it gets sent out to a small batch of people first, and depending on their reaction, how long they watch, if they upvote or not, the algorithm decides to push it out or not. So basically, it's how the mood is of whoever receives the video at the time. So it's kind of iffy, but as you know, just put it out. What happens, and
it is what it is. After that, on to the next video, right? It's not that big of a deal.
Just got to feed the machine.
Yeah, I mean, I found it really fun lately with spending more time on YouTube and less time on Twitch to try and learn about like what works and what doesn't. And I've had success.
That's why you got 2 channels out now. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, well, I found that people subscribe to your channel for whatever reason, right? And if you start doing content that's like somewhat different or completely different from that, I feel like that those are the videos that end up not doing as well, and then that algorithm starts going, yo, no, sorry, we're not going to do this anymore, and we're not going to put out the videos that people do like.
I know a lot of people are coming out to hear us get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, but I got to ask ahead of time, you splitting up your channel into 2 separate topics, have you found that's helped your performance on the algorithm? Really?
Yeah, definitely. I think it started off slow, but I think if I posted those videos on my main channel, it would have done really poorly and would have negatively affected my videos that do well, like my weekly news video or something like that, or this podcast.
I purposely kept all my content on one channel
Yep.
just label them differently between entertainment category or gaming category.
No, I think,
So
and do you
curious.
find that sometimes when you switch, that you find that being a video that might bomb?
I think it's more with your audience at the end of the day, because if your audience is here for Star Citizen and suddenly I pump out something on the crypto markets because Bitcoin's crashing,
Yep.
doesn't resonate with my usual audience, and so
Yeah.
it doesn't get the views or the reactions. Whereas if I
Star
just focus
Atlas.
on something else, oh yeah, that's right. Well, Star
because
Atlas is the beautiful bridge between
Yeah, exactly.
sci-fi games. We'll get on that too, but
Yeah.
a lot to talk about on that topic. Yeah,
for real. And I mean, we could jump into that now
let's
if
jump
you
right
want.
in. I think that's a great segue. Yeah.
Yeah, like I really started to dive into your channel with that a lot lately, is because again, I don't know a lot about crypto. I didn't really follow too many other people talking about Star Atlas other than chat just saying that it was a meme. And you kind of went in and really shared what's happening, what's going on, and then add that extra knowledge of what you know about the crypto markets and cryptocurrencies to explain what's good, what's bad, and so on. And it's been really informative and really interesting to follow for me personally. Anytime you post a video on that, I am mega excited.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating topic for me also, because I think, like many of you watching the show right now, my opinion on NFTs is like, what is this garbage? CryptoPunks being the earliest ones, just pixelated faces, and they're selling for 100,000, 150,000.
It makes
I'm thinking,
sense.
what's wrong with people? This is not right. It's not normal. And as I started to explore and understand what was happening, and I joined the communities, and like the Bored Ape Club is another one, and as I got to understand what was going on there, my opinion shifted, not because I wanted my opinion to change, but because I started understanding why things were happening the way they were. Mm-hmm. And it's basically the same as any trading cards. I mean, whether you like baseball or basketball or whatever trading cards you like, there's a small community where certain cards hold a lot of value, right?
Yeah.
So I don't follow basketball too closely, and you have to show me some rookie card of some player. It doesn't matter to me because I don't know, right? But if you're in a community that values a certain card because it's rarity, it has value to that community. So the NFT is much the same way, and I'll talk about Star Atlas in a second.
Yeah.
These communities exist in Discord and other places where there's 50,000, 100,000 people in a Discord where they place great value on this digital NFT. Now, it doesn't matter what you and I think.
No.
What matters is what those people in that particular community think.
Yep.
Because if you go in and go, here's my Bored Ape number 358, and it's very rare because he has a gold tooth, there'll be 58 people lining up going, I will give you $100,000. Now, it doesn't make sense. That's fine because we're not in there. But the people in there, it makes sense. So
I mean,
as
that
I
could be
started
applied to Star Citizen too, right?
Why is the red AMD, the Mustang, the AMD Mustang?
Yeah.
Why is that rare? I mean, it's just a ship and it's red. It looks like any other Mustang, but the paint job.
People want it.
You and I place value on that because it was only sold once and doesn't exist anymore, right? So it's exact same way.
Yep.
So as I started digging into the NFT thing, much to my disgust, I started understanding why they are the way they are. So that's why I was fascinated by Star Atlas, because they're trying to do something. And whether it succeeds or not in the long run is, I mean, I want to jump in the populist boat and say it's going to fail and it's going to bomb.
Yeah.
But the truth is, we don't know. And I'm curious to see how, look, a lot of people said when Star Citizen was first kickstarted that, it's going to be a failure, it's not going to work, it's going to bomb. Like, there's no ways that you can raise money and make this kind of game. Chris Roberts is crazy, which they still say.
Yes.
But the truth is, we don't know exactly. NFTs are kind of new. Crypto's all still kind of new. Can a company create NFTs and fund themselves that way, the way Star Atlas is doing? So I think it's an interesting experiment. It's an experiment I want to see play out. Whether it succeeds or not, there's a ton of factors involved to see whether it happens or not. But at the end of the day, anything which brings new games online which people enjoy is good. But that's another topic there. Is the game going to be good? And that's where I'm skeptical, because it takes more than, I think they raised $130 million in their initial NFT offerings. And unfortunately for them, due to the broader markets that we're experiencing right now, those ship NFTs are not selling. They tweeted out, like, here's our new ship called the Boomba, whatever it is. Sorry, I don't know the names. No offense to your Star Atlas guys. But you go and check, because it's all in the blockchain, you can go and verify if it's sold or not. And when I did my last video on the topic, not a single one of that ship which they put out sold. No one's
Yep.
buying it. So that concerns me. Well, I'm not that concerned. I'm not involved in it, but it should concern people involved in the project, because if you can't continue to fund your project, they have a good war chest. With 130 million, I think they're raised. They've got a good runway where they can go develop something. But as we've seen with Star Citizen, continued development is expensive, especially if they want to expand and make the game the way they're promising. So it's a curious model. It's a risky one, I think, not for the founders. They already made the millions, but for the people backing it, it's a risky model. And we have to wait and see how it pans out for them, whether they get to produce what they want. And so far, what they've done in Unreal 5 looks amazing. It does look very pretty. And I said so. I said, looks interesting and very impressive. But again, Unreal 5, as I was taught very quickly, you can make anyone who's spent any amount of time in game engines can make a spectacular looking Unreal 5 level fairly easily. But can you make it fun at the end of the day is the question. So that's why I'm fascinated by the project. I want to see what they can do with it. And for the sake of everyone invested, I hope to see it pan out. But ongoing, and I'm really fascinated about what they do.
Yeah. And I certainly think that they're taking the Star Citizen model with the ships first and saying, hey, this was successful, and doing their version of an attempt at that. There's so many comparisons.
So at first I was like, what? When I first saw this, like, what the hell is this? And as I went down the list of ship devs, like all these Star Citizen ship devs came up. And I was like, how could they do this? But hey, like, these are contractors. They can go work for whoever they like.
Exactly.
And if they, as a contractor, get told by their boss, can you make me a ship that looks like that, with the feel of what you did here in Star Citizen, they'll do it. So I think they've taken the easy route in that sense, where they don't have to go out and find people who can make a ship. They already know who can. Yeah. Which is a positive for them, right?
And and just in general, we've seen, like, there's no denying, like, I think people have called Star Citizen a failure more than once, but there's one thing that they've clearly been successful with, and it's their funding and how they funded the project up to this point and how they continue to. And you've obviously made videos on just how successful it's been lately, and it's been wildly successful lately. So why wouldn't you try to fund a game similar to Star Citizen if you think it would work, and especially in this NFT market, right?
Model. Right. Yeah. It's a tried and tested business model. You don't have to go reinvent the wheel. They can see exactly what Star Citizen did. Yep. They see the funding it's gotten. They go, can we do what they did, but toss NFTs in there? And that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question. And I know a lot of people bash the NFT sides of it, but I'm not. Also, who was it, Kotaku or one of these publications said that Star Citizen is going to do NFTs next, and everyone bashed that idea. But as I said, as I've learned more about this, all right, if back in 2012, RSI sold you the Constellation for $250, the Constellation package, as an NFT, all right, would you have been completely opposed to it if that was something that would increase in value as the company succeeded in time?
It's weird. How could I say no when that is in a lot of ways exactly what has happened? Like we and without having the blockchain aspect, like, they've sold images of ships that have look at the Banu Merchantman. I bought mine for $250. Right? Look at the glaive. The
scythe.
The scythe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right? Images of ships that have increased in value over time, and there is a secondary market for. And people definitely already do take part in this. So in a lot of ways, we already have it. I think they've been selling NFTs since 2012 in a lot of ways, just without the blockchain protections of it.
I'd love to get in the bandwagon and just bash us along, but it makes kind of sense, because you and I, when we backed Star Citizen, we took all the risk. Yep. The risk was this game fails. We just threw $250 at this Chris Roberts guy. Yep. And the company fails in a year or two. We lost our money. But what do you and I get on the odds that Star Citizen is a massive success and becomes this billion-dollar company that gets bought out by Microsoft in 2 years from now? What do you and I get from it? Oh, we get the pleasure of knowing that we backed it and we got to enjoy the game. Right, but we were essentially early investors. So this is the whole argument for the NFTs in gaming. I know it's a highly unpopular topic, but the truth of the matter is that if you, as a early backer in a project, can benefit from the growth of that project, shouldn't you get something from it, from risking your money? in a Kickstarter project. Take Oculus as a perfect example of this. When Oculus came out, people funded 50, 100, $150 to get the Lucky Palmer, the guy who made the Oculus, off the ground to get his project working.
Yep.
A couple of years later, Facebook bought him out for $2 billion.
Yep.
Now, if you backed him for $150 and you got a T-shirt, where is your share in that? Because you took the risk, but you got none of the gains.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to argue against that, but at the same time, it's like it's also that slippery slope. Is this how people are going to make games from now on? And is that necessarily a good thing? How are children involved in this? And
Dr. Disrespect and Midnight Society. All right. Yep. He came out and goes, I'm going to sell you NFTs of like it's a flare item. It's a helmet. It's a flare item. And a lot of the community went nuts and go, boo, NFT's bad. And they're not wrong, because 95% of the stuff out there is complete garbage.
Yeah.
But there are the small amounts which do work. And so my investigation into the whole area is what does work and what, like the garbage will get flushed out, which is what's happening right now. Market corrections tend to flush out the weak hands and the bad projects and the bad ideas, which is exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah.
What's left after a market crash is the stuff which survived. Same in the dot-com bubble we had back in 2000.
Sure.
What survived? Amazon survived. Google survived. Yahoo, to some extent, right? These companies went on to become amazing tech companies. So the same thing's happening now in the NFT world. Is the garbage getting flushed out. And in the case of Dr. Disrespect, I think it's interesting because he wants you to fund his game. He says, give me $50. And I'm going to make this shooter game I want to make. Now, if his game turns out to be successful and popular, that flare item will be something very rare. So if you paid $50 for his flare helmet NFT and it becomes worth $500, $1,000 in a couple of years' time, where's the downside for you?
Yeah,
I don't see a downside.
You want to bring it back to Star Citizen in that way, and this is the thing.
We're done. It was great talking with you, man. But
well, no, this is the thing that's actually frustrated me, is because I think you make a really good point, and that's kind of what they sold us on in a lot of ways, and it did work for the Scythe, right? Because they never sold that again. But in a lot of other ships, there was like and I'm sure you remember there was the idea of like this would be limited, and then the community grew, so they unlimited that ship for a little while, and then you kind of lost
scarcity.
Yeah, and how I always looked at it, to answer your question before, of okay, if I invested in the game for a certain ship or certain something, I never looked at it as getting a return on my investment financially for my real life money, but I always have looked at like reasons that I used the subscriber platform and got those rare items, was that later on in the game I was hoping that those items would be rare and that I would be able to sell them for in-game currency and or show them off and have them as these incredibly rare items. I've always been a collector in video games. I've always enjoyed that. So having something that somebody didn't was something that I always liked. And this, even going back to our argument, or not our argument, but our differences with the Vandal Mask, and that's what frustrated me so much about that event in particular, was that
let's do Vandal Mask now and then come back to that. Yeah, let's do that.
That was the first item that was ever in game that had the potential to have rarity, and that they screwed up, and the company, as far as like the design of the ways to get it, and unfortunately it isn't.
So refresh my memory. You needed to kill 10 people? Or was it 20?
50.
What was the number?
50
All right. Yes.
Individuals, not 50 over and over again the same person, 50 separate individuals over I believe a 2-week period.
Right. Okay, so for those of you who are new and weren't there for that event, basically there's a Vandal Mask and you had to kill 50 unique individuals and then you get awarded the mask.
Correct.
And for someone who does a lot of PvP and has a time, it's doable. But for a lot of other people who don't want to here's the thing. Whenever a game puts out something to do, individuals will find the fastest way from point A to point B.
100%.
Even though it might not be the intended mechanic, people will find it, right?
And they left that door open. So the onus is absolutely on the developers in this case. But I definitely have an opinion about exactly what you said. If I didn't have the time, kind of thing. And it's like, well, I hope one day that if you don't have the time, I am the one who gets it, because I did or somebody else did, and that I can take that the fact that you don't have time and say, here's this thing, well, you can buy it from me for the in-game currency, or you get to see it or check it out, or it's my reward for, because here's the deal right now. A lot of games are being monetized. This game is being monetized heavily in a lot of ways, and there has to be a reward for players who are, like, in a lot of ways, a free-to-play player or somebody who just starts with an Aurora, and that you earned it and somebody didn't. And I think that's necessary for the game to be successful as well. And I think the Vandal Mask was like a perfect example of where some people shouldn't have gotten it and did. And it's really, again, on the dev, but here we are.
So I don't disagree with anything you said. I do believe there need to be rare items in the game. Like you, I like to feel I'm a completionist. I want everything.
Same.
I'm well aware that I may not get everything, like that Banu lockbox that is out right now.
Yep.
There's people paying $300 for it. I was like,
So
I don't know
crazy,
why. So you know what? I'll live without it. That's fine. But if there's something available in game that is within reach, I will do what I must to get it.
Yeah.
And so I understand that the intended mechanic wasn't to stand in line and get everyone shot, but at the same time, that was a lot of fun. I go into a server. I said, who's like farming for the Vandal Mask? Because some randoms came up. We all stood in front of the ship. Everyone takes a turn to get shot. And it was a fun hour of going back and forth and killing people, and an interaction which would not usually happen.
Did you do Jumptown content at all?
Sorry, come again?
Did you play Jumptown at all when that came out?
Yes, all the time.
It was almost the exact same scenario. And for some reason, that didn't bother me. And this did. And it just comes down to...
Well, stop being such a snowflake, Mike.
No, I know. I just got upset because that was their first opportunity for that, like that element coming to the game and them having success with it, and they didn't. So it frustrated me from the fact that they screwed up, but it still bothers me when people have an entitlement for something that maybe they shouldn't have. But again, it really came down to the fact that if the door's open, you're going to go through it, right? And they did. But the Jumptown I thought was amazing because everybody did the same things. You know, you had people that were willing to fight for it, and you had people that were willing to just, hey, let's be friends, let's make this money.
Oh,
and
the
we'll
conga lines. Everyone stood in line to get the drugs out.
Yeah, it was awesome. And it was essentially the exact same scenario. But the difference here was it didn't come with that rare item at the end. And and that's, I guess, what bothered me about it, because that's my thing, I guess.
CIG is learning as they go. And
for sure.
You and I both know they made tons of mistakes getting to the point where they are right now.
Yeah.
And every time there is an event, they learn something new, and we only hope they can iterate and improve upon it next time it comes along.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
if everyone loses their minds because of the Vandal Mask, you know what? Maybe we're right. Maybe we should make it more difficult or put some sort of limits on how you can do that. And I feel that's the direction they're going. They do tend to learn. Do they learn from their mistakes? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at the place that we are now versus where we were how many years ago. Like, you want to talk about the letter from the chairman or the roadmap updates and the changes to those a little bit. Is that not them learning from their mistakes? And everybody really went hard on them about that stuff and said, hey, you're not being as open and all these things. I just see it as them learning from their mistakes of saying stupid shit that they shouldn't be saying. Like, a year from now, we expect to have this content in this patch, when they know that they're not sure if that's going to be a thing, right? So it's, I think it's that they've absolutely learn from mistakes and are doing way better now than ever before.
Yeah, so one of the biggest criticisms Star Citizen gets, and I know my biggest criticism for them also, is in 2016, you were here back then too, right?
Yeah, you and I, that was the first time we met.
Answer the call. And we were all hyped up because the game's coming out. We're going to answer the call now, and in like 6 months, the game's going to come out. It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
And 2017 came, 2018 came. There were entire patches where I didn't even play.
Yeah.
Because I was like, hang on, like I was hyped up. This is happening. They said it's happening. Like, what's going on? And they never really actually told us what happened, right?
Yeah.
Which I think we'll find out eventually. Actually, I think we know what the answer is. But they never actually came out and said, this is what happened. Just kind of went puttering along and went on with development and brought in new people with don't care what happened back in 2016. Because they're back last year. And there's been cases where, I mean, you, me, Board Gamer, Noobifier, all the original content creators there had a lot of flack because we were all very supportive. And then, they said by this date this happens, and time after time after time, they missed all the targets.
Yeah.
So, it is an exercise in patience when it comes to CIG, but also they've learned now when Chris Roberts said we're not giving them more dates, kind of applause, but at the same time, the amount of flack he took from other media where they said there is no finish date now for Star Citizen, and I mean it's still ongoing. There's still no date for completion at this point right now.
Yeah. Think about
definitely interesting.
Think about that event was, I think, the first time that we saw like salvage on a roadmap. 2016. It has been kicked down the line until now, essentially. And then in the most recent like changes to the roadmap where they were like, hey, we're going to give you 317.2 first, we're going to put 318 on the PTU, they kicked it down the road again, essentially. But the way they communicated and the way they shared it and the fact that like, hey, we're going to give you something while you wait, and we're going to make sure that this is tested and we're doing things essentially like the right way, it was a totally different way of communicating and a way the community reacted to it. Because, again, like I really do feel like they've learned from their lessons. And not only do they have new backers that don't remember what happened in 2016, I feel like they have employees that do and are just don't want this to happen anymore, and don't like community guys have that's kind of when they came in. That's when I met Christian. He was still a volunteer. You have Jake, who we all know very well, and these people lived through this stuff, and they know what it was like, and they seem like they're making the changes that need to happen to make this experience a little bit less rough. To be patient, because it's one thing to be patient, but it's another thing to suffer pain while you're being patient.
Yeah, so I think maybe you understand as much as I do about how things work behind the scenes there, and it's easy to jump on the hate train,
yes,
and just be outraged all the time. But if you talk to the devs, and like as you have probably done also at events where you go to CitizenCon or Bar Citizens, and you sit and talk to a dev, and then they explain why something happened.
Yep.
And you go, well, that makes perfect sense. But the thing is, they won't tell you that in Inside Star Citizen or whatever show they put on, because it's not something which I guess is widely accepted or understood. But for example, in the recent Bar Citizen, Disco Lander popped on. And he kind of said, when we work on something and we're working on it for like a year and a half and it really looks good, and then they hire a new guy, and this new guy comes along and goes, what you've done there is pretty good, but if we do it this way, it's 10 times better and more scalable and future-proof. And they'll go, holy crap, he's right. And they have to basically toss out everything they did and go, what this new hire did, and his idea is actually better, and then implement his idea. So they've just tossed out a year, 2 years worth of work, which the new guy pointed out is not good or can be better. And that's, I guess, the curse of their success, is because they keep on bringing more money, they hire better talent. The better talent comes in and goes, everything you've done there is garbage. If you do it my way, we'll do procedural planets now, not after release, as an example.
Yeah.
At one point, they said, here's your constellation. You push a button on rails. It's going to go down to the planet and it's going to land for you. Along came a whole bunch of CryEngine engineers and go, you know what? We'll do procedural planets now, not in 5 years after release. And everything they did to that point about, your constellation landing automatically, tossed out the window, procedural planets are in. Just an example. Yeah. So it's a symptom, I guess, or the curse of their success is bringing better talent. And their better talent saying, do it this way, toss out your old stuff because this is better. And it's leading to endless and endless more like cycles of more stuff being done and other stuff being delayed.
Sure. I mean, I'm no video game engineer or anything like that, but I also think that it's the general. I think your example is definitely the example of when everything went so right and so wrong all at the same time. Is the moment they scaled the universe out and one star system out to the size they did, it complicated everything, right? So now they need this tech and PES tech and server meshing, even though they've always talked about server meshing for many, many years. I think it made everything much more difficult, and the idea of we have to try something to see if it works, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, is also seemed to have happened as well, right? Is we had iCache be a thing, and it seemed like it was something that was right around the corner, and
Every
maybe it
Jesus
didn't.
patch is around the corner. Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't scale the way they were hoping it would, and now they had to try this new way of doing things, and they were very open about not being 100% sure what's going to happen when it goes in either this time, and we'll have to see and how far it scales, and how well it works, and what edge cases are there and how they can close them up. So it's I think it's also that, but yeah, I think you're on it too. As they figure things out, they have to throw away this work sometimes, and it wastes time.
We're still out the woods. There's a lot of risk still in there, and
100%.
I know I don't talk about the downsides and the risk all the time, but I'm well aware of them, as are you, as are every single other content creator on the platform is. And the ongoing concern is always, excuse me, can they do it? Can they bring more than 50 people onto a server?
Yeah.
Will there ever be a time where there's 1,000 people on a server? I don't know. They say they can, but do the laws of nature allow it?
I don't know.
So,
yeah.
we'll see.
This thing is one of those moments of like it's kind of an exciting time. I don't know how you feel, but I'm not going to sit here and like the "it's happening" gif or anything about it and get like mega excited about it, but it does feel that we're going to get to at least see if pieces of this are possible. Are what they said, like, are we going to see some improvement? Are we going to see some change? And are the NPCs going to start reacting better because the server should be running better? All these things, and it's hard to say. I'm still of the mindset of anybody that comes to my Twitch channel or YouTube and says, is this game good? Should I buy this game? I tend to shy away from that.
No, don't do it.
I say no.
If you need to convince someone that it is good, and then it ends up they don't like it, it's your fault.
Exactly. And so I have like almost no referrals in comparison to 90% of the creators out there.
It's because you're too salty. It's right there in the name.
True. But I honestly, anytime anybody asks, I just say, if you're asking, you're probably coming from the mindset of like, when I buy this game, it's going to be this more functioning game of what I'm used to, and you're not going to get that experience. That's not what this is just yet.
Exactly. I don't want to be in a position to convince anyone the game is good.
Yeah.
By the time people come to my Discord, they've already got the game. At this point, it's, you already bought it. You want to play. This is what you do. But if anyone comes in, should I buy this? I go, no, don't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be the one to convince you. Go to Twitch, go to YouTube. There's thousands of hours of people playing. If that appeals to you, go for it. But if someone's coming to be convinced, then no. Don't be the one responsible for their $45.
No, of course not. And it's just it's more the mindset that I have is I want them to come to the game and stay. And I feel like if you look at the backer numbers, right? There's 3 million backers. I think we just crossed, or 4, some crazy number, right? But when they talk about the amount of concurrent people and how many people are actually playing the game, it's significantly less. And the reason is because they come, the game's not ready, and either they get upset, or the majority of people are like, okay, I'll just wait, and whenever it's good, I'll come back and play. And I'm just trying to avoid those people that get upset and end up becoming, the haters and things like that it just doesn't make any sense.
I think we're seeing more people play now on a daily basis than I've ever seen in the past.
Yeah, because the game's really to a point where you kind of can.
Right. You're probably seeing this also on your Twitch and probably in your own Discord also. There's a lot more people just playing, just getting on there and playing all the time.
Absolutely.
Which is something which I've never seen before. There's new people coming in, like all these big YouTubers, was Jack Frags and Ali and Level Cap. And I saw, what's his face? Sheriff Eli.
Yep.
On Twitch.
Yeah.
Playing on his Twitch profile. It says he plays Star Citizen as the first game he plays. I was like, really? That's fascinating. If you don't know who Sheriff Eli is, he got his popularity from playing GTA, role-playing stuff. Large audience. And so I was kind of surprised to see him in there. And he's got the ships. He's got like a picture of all his fleet and everything, and is in there playing. And his audience is loving the game.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time coming. I've been waiting for that day where big streamers and big YouTubers will be playing Star Citizen, and no one will be scratching their heads wondering why.
Yeah.
So we've definitely seen a massive influx as new players come in because of that. Just yesterday, I went to accept new members into test, and there were 12 people waiting in queue to be accepted. And I checked it like 6 hours before that. So it's a huge amount of people just joining organizations in Star Citizen 2,
Yeah.
which is not surprising, but it's the time has come basically where the game is at a point where a lot of people are saying, I'm enjoying playing this. YouTubers are stepping out and playing the game, and their audience is loving it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a fascinating. I knew this day would come eventually. It's been a long time coming.
I thought so a long time ago. I was scared it never would.
Yeah.
And I wish they waited like a month for 3.17 too, because it's literally like one of the more broken patches we've had in the last 6 months. So it kind of sucks. I feel bad. They all came during the free fly. The free fly was really rough.
Oh, Arson was a disaster. It was so bad.
And I feel like it
Were
could have
you
been so much
apologizing
better.
to everyone?
Yeah, it's like you just see so many new people coming and are super like, oh, this game's interesting, and I'm like, just not right this second, dude.
I don't work for CIG, and Chris Roberts doesn't pay me, but I'm sorry for the experience you're having right now.
Yes, this is really terrible.
Funny.
But did I ever tell you that Tess scares the shit out of me?
It scares me, and I'm in there every day.
Yeah, I kind of gave you the heads up on this one. I was just thinking about this the other day. How many?
Sure.
You have well over 10,000 members now. Is it over 20 at this point?
20,633.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and that's like 633, or just from like the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like such a massive influx.
It's insane, right? And I know just to get some history around you, I usually start out with history on people, and we just jumped right into conversation.
So let's pretend we're starting right now. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Montoya. How you doing?
You have questions for me?
Yes. Did you start in Eve? Because I know Test obviously was an Eve organization originally.
Oh, okay. I just answered this on my Discord. We get this question so much also, and in retrospect, maybe I should have named it something else. But
okay,
I was playing PlanetSide 2. All right. PlanetSide 2 was a great game. This is about 8 years ago. The game was doing great. And I was with a group called Test Platoon. Test Platoon were a bunch of guys who were playing Eve. And then I said, hey, let's go play PlanetSide. So they started a group called Test Platoon. And I was playing Test Platoon. Then this rosy-cheeked young man comes out at some event and goes, I'm making a game called Star Citizen. I was like, oh, that's cool, Star Citizen. So I asked the guys, I go, hey guys, anyone want to come, start a group for this thing called Star Citizen? And there weren't really any takers. And I said, okay, I'll call it Test Squadron, Squadron 42.
Yeah.
I'm coming from Test Platoon, Test Squadron, made perfect sense.
Yep.
And so I started it, and they weren't interested. The game is it's vaporware. The game doesn't exist. And I said, okay. So I found one guy that was interested, and then we started Test. And so we were a small group of 10 or 20, and then a couple of guys from Test Platoon came, and we became 30, 40. And then we just started basically hitting up the Reddit and pushing ourselves as an org, and it took off from there. Yeah. So we are not actually from Eve. We're technically from PlanetSide 2. The group from PlanetSide 2 came from Eve.
Yeah.
So we're twice removed from Eve. Yeah. But I did play Eve. I was in Eve Uni. Eve University was the corporation I played with for a little bit. I played for about a year. Then I realized that it was sucking the life out of me because you have to wake up at 3 a.m. and update your skill trees. It's really a second job. It was back then anyway.
Yeah.
And I got to take my head off. Yeah, CCP, the makers of Eve, I got to take my head off because they're coming on, is it 20 years, 15 or 20 years right now? And the game still, it holds up. It's great. They've done a wonderful job with Eve. Nothing comes close to the depth and the broadness of the economy and just the way the game operates. It's amazing. Yeah. So nothing but the best opinions of Eve in my time there, but it was just it is a life-sucking game, and so I wasn't too involved. I wasn't doing major fleets or everything like that, but I was part of a small corporation there, but not Test. So I guess that's the long answer. Short answer: no, not from Eve. Actually, from PlanetSide 2, and that's how we end up here.
It's cool, yeah. It's just I just had this thought the other day about. A lot of what we talked about today is we're not sure, what the game will look like a year from now, 2 years, 3 years from now. But the one thing I was going to ask you, and I know, the answer has to be no from you, but I'm still curious what you think, excuse me, is do you think there should be caps on the size of an org? Because how is this all going to work with the universe that they're building and the amount of people that you could literally possibly never experience resistance, is how I look at it.
I think, all right, so that's another thing of them. I don't think they thought this out.
Yes, agreed.
I don't think CIG thought there'll be mega orgs in this game.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd be a mega org. I mean, we had 30, 40 people. I started doing propaganda on Reddit. A funny video like, look at us, and make a funny poster, just make like Star Wars themed posters. And the 30 became 50, 50 became 500, 500 became 1,000. And like, well, I guess we were kind of early in that propaganda game for organizations. No one's really pushing their org at the time. There was Imperium, which was the largest org with 3,000 members. There was Explore, which was pretty big at the time. And so I never thought we'd be big, but I started my YouTube channel. I'm like, hi, I'm Montoya, and I run this organization. And it resonated. People liked it.
Yeah.
And the numbers grew from there. I don't think CIG expected maybe 500, maybe 1,000 people to join and didn't cap it. Yeah. So the fact that we hit 20,000, I think they're like, well, what the hell do we do now?
Yep.
Because we can't fit 20,000 people from this org on our server unless they take over the whole server. And then what do we do then if it's just us on the server?
Exactly. I mean, it still could be fun. You can still find your fun. But
so I don't think they planned it out, but I do feel that the solution is going to be, because space is so big, we're not all going to be in one spot. It's like, we're going to pick a moon on Pyro and go, this is our moon, and all 20,000 are here. There's going to be people spread out over the whole galaxy, right? So there's going to be people mining at some far corner over there. There'll be people mining on that side over there. There'll be people doing exploring on that side, and everyone's spread out. I think that's going to be a workable solution at the end, but definitely problematic. I don't think they planned for this, and I'm not sure what the short-term plans are, how to handle it. I mean, there's no ways we can get the entire organization onto a single server anytime soon.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, what do you... I recently just started an org, and because I always found myself as more of a support type person, like would always, I'll take support roles. I don't like being the leader.
Feel free to plug them.
30K Incorporated. So you know how people, when a server would go down, they would say 30K incoming, but they would just go
looking for an organization that reflects your personality? Join SaltEMike at 30K.
Yeah, so I just called it 30K Incorporated, and it's just like mostly we just do like mining and stuff. But,
I love it.
Yeah, it's just what. So I have like all these thoughts in my mind about like what fun things we can do. What did you think back then would be like when you first started, and then what do you think now, and what are your goals for it? What do you think you guys would do?
So great question. Initially coming from Eve, and the attitude was, and I see this still a lot out there. It's like very antagonistic. We're gonna troll, we're gonna antagonize other orgs. Like there's gonna be espionage. And as time went on, and I guess I got older and lazier, but also the demographics have changed.
Yeah.
It's not so much more about just giving other people a hard time, but more about giving everyone a good time.
Yeah.
No sexual connotation, but the point of the general consensus, because the game didn't exist, we didn't know what it's going to be like. The only space sim reference we had was Eve, and Eve is it's really, what's the word? Toxic? Should I use? Sorry, Eve guys, but yeah, the way the Eve runs, it's highly toxic, and people are coming to Star Citizen, and they had enough of that. They want something new, something different, and so we did shift a lot in the way we operate from we're going to antagonize and like troll and stuff to more like we just want to have a good time and help other people have a good time also. Where it ends up at the end, we don't know, but I do like the idea of being more not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not carefree, but as long as everyone's having a good time in the game and enjoying,
you're not looking to dominate or anything like that.
I don't know if that's what I mean. Coming from PlanetSide 2 again, the Zergs were the way to control the game. The more people you got on the field, the more you dominated, the more you win.
Yep.
But that's not the case in Star Citizen. What is winning in Star Citizen? Yeah, sure, you control the resources, but once you have all the ships you need, once you have the resources you need, where does it go from there? So, I mean, it's still up in there. We don't exactly know.
Yeah, it depends on what they do.
Yeah, but
in a lot of ways.
As we've developed as an organization, as the game's developed, we found that you get a lot more enjoyment from seeing other people enjoy it also. I know it sounds kind of weird, but take the example of What's the event you were just talking about?
Jumptown?
Jumptown.
Yeah.
Right, so we rolled up to Jumptown the one session, and we rolled up in like 7 or 8 ships with a hammerhead overhead, and there was one guy inside. All right, so we could have blown up his ship and killed him and gone on with our day, but we all stood outside there. I said, everyone, just point your lights at him and point your guns. And the guy came running out holding his drugs, and you see him looking around. Like, attention, civilian, pack your ship and leave promptly. And we let him go. And it was just hilarious, because you're coming out and like you see like all these ships are shining the lights at you, and the guy freaked out. That kind of stuff is funny. Right?
Yeah, of course.
And it would have been easy to blow him up and go on with our day, but I think it's funnier and just better just to give people these kind of experiences in the game. So as an org, it's not our intention to ruin anyone's day. Like, yeah, we will ruin people's day as it comes along. Like, sure, if we're pirating somewhere and you came with cargo and we took your cargo and it's ruined your run, it's ruined your day. But look, we're not looking to ruin your experience, because we don't want anyone rage quitting.
Yeah.
Or having, like, I just spent all my money loading this cargo into this caterpillar and now you pirated me. Like, this ruined my week. We want to make it fun. So we'll say, you know what, sing a song for us. And I'm going to record this for my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like, do something fun. We want everyone to have a good time at the end. So I'm not saying no, bad stuff won't happen. It will. But overall, we just want to make sure everyone has a good time in the game. And like, it's not our objective to ruin anyone's experience.
Yeah, for sure. I'm of the mindset nowadays, now that it's possible VoIP is okay working most of the time now, that like interacting with people and talking to them and trying to find a way to make it as entertaining and fun as possible, whether you're making a video for it or not, is like the most enjoyable. I've recently just said, okay, I'm going to start without a ship, without a gun, without anything, just a flight suit and a helmet, and I'm going to join other people's ships and earn money to earn my own ship. And then once I have my own ship,
that's the way to play the game.
Yeah, and so I made it in a way where I was forcing myself to interact with people. And when I did that, and I've really just did this in the last couple of weeks, I've never enjoyed. I don't know if I've ever enjoyed Star Citizen before, to be honest. I've played MMOs. I started in Ultima Online, and
why so salty?
I'm now enjoying the game, and it's a good feeling, and it's been really nice. And
ladies and gents, he's not wrong. Okay, so I've got my main account, which has all the ships, which I've bought over the years. Then I have my secondary account, which only has one ship, and that's the Aurora.
Yeah.
And every time there's a new patch, I'll go to that account and I'll start the 0 to hero journey.
Yep.
It's so much more fun and fulfilling and exciting.
Yeah.
And I find I play my main account less and less because I have everything. I have all the money. I have all the ships, and there's nothing really to do. That account's going to be used basically to run the org. But as far as my personal enjoyment, I love just going for the beginner ship and working my way through. And every patch I do it because I want to see what new mechanics are in. I want to see how it works. So when a new guy comes and says, I'm just joining this game, like, what should I do? Buy the beginner ship. Here's what you do. And that's it. And you're right. Yeah. It's the enjoyable best part of the game is just the working your way up through the levels.
It's also to prove, like, in a lot of ways, what they say about funding the project is actually true, where I don't think a lot of people believe it, is you don't need this ship. You don't need to spend all this additional money. You can get almost everything in-game. You can earn it. It can be difficult at times. It can be repetitive at times, but that's more because the game isn't finished. But all these things are out there and exist, and it's possible to have fun doing it if you suspend disbelief a little bit. Sometimes you have to, and then other times where you force it or whatever, but you can make it fun and you can make the game enjoyable while we wait for them to do it themselves in a lot of ways. Yeah,
so I know people accuse both of us of shilling a lot.
Yeah, more lately.
Board game is the worst.
Bro, oh my god, the board gamer shilling is my favorite thing because board does the. I get this and I've had to explain this to my community. I've even had to ping everyone in my Discord before, and it's always board. You're so much better than board gamer the shill, or all these things. You're doing everything better than board, and it's like, first off, this is my friend, like my very close friend. Second, he just does something different. And if you feel that what I'm doing is better, like, keep it to yourself. I want
to speak on this topic, all right?
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
Okay, so there's an industry term for this. It's called audience capture.
Yeah.
SaltEMike who was previously known as Twerk.
Yes.
Changed his name.
Let's forget
and what
that.
he does because there's a certain audience he wanted to cater to. I do what I do because there's a certain audience I enjoy. Board Gamer does what he does because that's the audience he wants. And the great example I give people on this topic is that I did a video once on what was that game that came out with it was a medieval game. The guy's name was Henry.
Oh, that video did really, really well for you too. It still pops up.
I don't remember the name of that. Huh.
Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Kingdom Come. Right. Yeah. So the topic was there was a big controversy, and the topic was, why are there no black people represented in this game? And I was like, well, all right. So my mother's side is actually Hungarian. I've been to Budapest. I can speak on this topic. Now, when I went to visit Budapest, I think it was early 2000 or something, there weren't many black people there, right? 400 years before that, even less. What era was Kingdom Come Deliverance done in? I was like 1,000 years before, I don't know. But the point is, there were very, very few black people in that time in that region.
Yeah.
And the game developers who are from that region made the game according to how that is. And so it's not about being fair or being equal, but there was a lot of controversy. Why aren't black people represented in the game? And I said, because there were no black people in the area at the time. And the video did very well, but a lot of the audience that came to watch that video were the type of people that you don't want to hang out with really in real life. They were overly racist, just not individuals that you want to sit down at a bar and have a drink with.
Yeah.
All right. And I was like, yeah, this is not the audience I intended to get in this video. And it's certainly not the audience I want to cater to going forward.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's not exactly what applies to Star Citizen, but in Star Citizen, kind of the same thing. And you made a decision what you want to cover and the audience you want. And I don't exactly remember when you made the transition from Twerk, but there's a reason you did that, because you wanted to cater to a certain audience and offer them something which was not out there much, right?
No. The reason I changed the name, and I've said it before, but just in case, I'm assuming you haven't heard it, just based on what you're saying, is I was at work and everybody started talking about Twitch and everybody started talking about video games, and I wanted to take part in the conversation, and I was embarrassed to say what my screen name was. And this is as simple as that. Like I did not have this like branding idea or anything like that. I simply came from, what did everybody call me at the time? They were always calling me Salty.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I've learned something today.
Yeah. So
awesome.
I listen, I'm not some big brain person that thought that I wanted to cater to a certain audience or anything either. This was always my outlet. I never intended, honestly, to do this for a living or anything like that. And maybe like I wanted to, but I didn't think of it in the right ways until more recently, and what sort of audience I do want to cater to. And that's why I've been kind of changing my tune a lot more lately, is because I'm not happy with the type of audience that I did end up catering, but I didn't do it on purpose.
So to circle back, I get the same thing. I go, Board Gamer, I mean, I find him is just doing too much of a shill. Like, Montoya, I like your content. No, thank you. Then I hear, oh, SaltEMike, he's so negative and he freaks out all the time. I prefer your content. And I go, oh, thank you. But look, everyone, it's not that Board Gamer knows something we don't. It's not that you know something that Board Gamer does not.
Yeah.
It's how you choose to project information out, and it's how the audience you want to have with you reacts to that too. So I don't ever look at Board Gamer and go, oh my God, what a shill. I don't go, oh, SaltEMike is just too harsh in the game. Like, no, we all understand exactly the same thing. It's just how you choose to present the information out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't make a choice on how I choose to present it. I except for like a thumbnail or something like that. I definitely sit there and think about that because of the fucking YouTube algorithm, and you have to. But
your use of red arrows, you say it's for the algorithm.
Exactly. It is seriously dead serious.
Well, you do the shocked face individually every time. You have a library of them that you.
I stopped doing the faces. Because I noticed that they didn't work as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, because think about it. Think about this. Is lately, again, like I said, I've wanted to change my tune a little bit, and because I am actively thinking about the audience I'm creating, because the audience that I have created when I wasn't thinking about it and I was not happy with the game at all, it has really started to bring me down and hurt my mental health and make things like very difficult. Right? They're hard to be around. Is negative Nancy's.
I want to touch on that.
Yeah,
just
go.
Quickly.
Please.
You know what? So the video I made criticizing the Ion nerf. Now,
Yeah.
the Ion was a chip I loved. And so when they nerfed, I was like, oh man. I guess so I was genuinely angry about the
Yeah.
nerf. And the people that still to this day comment on that video, the comments are, this game is trash. This
Yeah.
game is garbage. That is not the kind of person I want to hang out with in my community because
Yeah.
I don't agree with them.
Exactly.
And the communities are basically, it's like you coming to my house. When you're coming to my Discord, you're in my house, you want to hang out. But we can't hang out if your opinion is this game is absolute garbage because all we do is to talk about this game and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
I want to be critical about the game. I want to say if I'm unhappy with something, I want to be able to say it, just like you did about the Ion. And I actually disagreed with you about the way you felt about the Ion. I thought it was a lot of things.
How dare you?
Yeah, and that's okay, right? But you're totally entitled to your opinions, of course. Yeah, so like I never went into this thinking any sort of way like that, but I am doing that now. And the funny thing about the thumbnails, to turn all the way back to that, is I noticed that if I was in the thumbnail, people would immediately associate it with it being a negative thing or a bad video or something negative. And if I didn't put myself in the thumbnail...
But you're so handsome, Mike. How can that be?
Well, because it was my attitude that came with it. But thank you.
Have you considered showing more skin, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. Hold on, let me take one button.
Tops, like a real plunging V-neck, maybe.
Yeah. We'll take the button off a little bit, but but then I noticed if I didn't put myself in the thumbnail and it was a catchy title and a catchy thumbnail or whatever, people will click on it, and then maybe they'll listen for what I have to say and not what I had said in the past, and not click on it. So that's why I thought about it that way. I take this quite seriously now, and I also am just in general happy with the game in a lot more ways than I was before, because everything I complained about before is something that they're actively working to improve now. So why would I be upset? If I was upset then and they're making the changes now, it would be totally... that would be the box that everybody put me in then. Then I would be just being reactive, and I would just be doing this for views. So if I've totally changed my tune, I'm obviously not.
When the facts change, you change your mind.
Exactly. It's simple as that.
And so it's easy just to grab on the negativity. Well, that's the thing. The negative demographic wasn't never really big. They were loud, but they weren't big.
Correct.
And they've only shrunk over time. Or maybe they've remained the same size, but the actual demographic which loves the game has increased dramatically.
Yeah, I think they've all grown, but in proportions, the positive has grown significantly more recently as well.
Yeah, there was a time where I was very perplexed and maybe a bit angry about the negativity towards Star Citizen because I've never been involved in game development before. I've never followed a game.
Yep.
Like I usually buy a game when it goes on Steam sale. That's it. Like God of War. I just saw God of War on sale, 50% off. I'm buying that today, actually.
Nice.
That's how I usually get in my games. So to pre-order a game like Star Citizen, to the extent that I did, was new. And I've never actually seen crowds go crazy and lose their minds as passionately as the haters for Star Citizen did.
Yeah.
It took me a while to understand that. And it's still perplexing to me because I can't put the energy or time into hating something. There's not enough hours in the day for me anyway, but it's still, I mean, quite a sizable community, still very much against the game to this day.
And I've noticed the hate is what started to flow into the passion that I had. I've always just wanted the game to be better, and I've always just wanted to be good, and it was frustrating.
Saying let the hate flow through you.
Yes. And so it literally, I started turning into a Sith. Yeah. And so I just, I can't anymore. And it's just one of those things where I'm not going to change who I am, and I'm not going to not get upset when I'm upset, but I can't have like that around me anymore. It's just brutal. And I think you put it the perfect way is like, these are not people I would want to hang out with. And in so many ways, those are not people that I would want to hang out with either. And I can't keep cultivating something like that and allowing my community to be a place for them to thrive, because it's not they're not representing me.
Some people are cut out for it, some people are not. I think it's the reason why there's so much hate, and there still is towards Star Citizen, is because it's an easy one to hate on. There's a huge amount of money. There's a game which isn't finished, which is in perpetual development. It seems shady and scammy from all angles. It does.
Of course.
And so I think if if this is the demographic of where you just simply hate on stuff all the time, which a lot of YouTubers do,
Yeah.
that's an easy topic. And a lot of them still do it. I still see videos every now and then saying, the game has been under development for 10 years with no end in sight. Is Chris Roberts buying a fifth mansion in Manchester right now? Everyone is being scammed by him. Like, okay, I mean, fair enough. If that's the angle you want to take, go for it. But
yeah, I mean, the only scam and the only thing that frustrates me right now is they're taking a lot of the money that we're spending on ships and funneling it to a game that we don't get the updates for as often or as much. So it feels like nothing is happening, and it feels like there's not as much progress as should be happening, given how much money they make, right? Like a lot of the titles on these clickbait titles from Kotaku and things like that are 500 million, 400 million, and nothing is happening. Well, hopefully something's happening, but it's the last thing we saw was a satellite dish, So they're and I'm kind of okay with it, but it's also very frustrating because
look, there's always risk. I don't think any of us, whether it's all the way from Board Gamer to you or whoever else is in there, Space Tomato, we all understand the risk here.
Yeah,
and the risk
100%.
is at any point in time there'll be one bad year of funding, and then people go, "Oh my God, they're not making money anymore. I'm bailing. Like I'm not giving them more money."
Yeah,
and they'll hit a dead end. But I've been saying that for 10 years already. It's like
I know.
I don't
And
know
look
if
at it.
Will be big. I don't know if the offer will be big. We don't know.
Look at it now. This train is not stopping. There's no stopping this. I mean, it's wild.
There's always going to be a peak, right? There'll be a year of max earnings. This could be the year that
could be.
They make the most. And there'll be years where the earnings drop after that. So I don't think it can increase indefinitely. But if you look at it this way, here's the interesting way of looking at it, because people are always amazed by how much they pull in every year. How much does the shittiest of mobile games make in a year?
Yeah, I make this point all the time. Right. And not only that, but I always make the Valheim point. Is Valheim hit, I think, 5 million purchases within a month. And we don't even have that much in 10 years. So like everyone's like saying Star Citizen is so successful, and they want development to be perpetual forever, and they're doing all this stuff on purpose. But when there's other models out there that if they delivered the Star Citizen before the procedural planets, that they probably would have had as many, or if not more people playing the game than they do now, right? And there would be more success in the short term or whatever. But the idea of they're trying to make something different, they're trying to do something better, but the success that people put on Star Citizen, I don't actually consider Star Citizen successful yet. Their success, I don't think has happened. I think we're starting to see a little glimpse of what could happen, but I don't think they've been successful. I
don't think people understand the amount of money that flows into games like what is it, CSGO Mobile or one of these ridiculous shooter games.
Billions.
Billions. Yeah. So for Star Citizen to make, 80 million, we all celebrate, but 80 million is what some of these mobile games make in a month.
Yeah.
And so, and that argument also about, RSI, CIG definitely took a risk in their model, because at the time there were two games coming out. There was Elite Dangerous and there was Star Citizen. Now, Elite Dangerous said, we'll get this game out in a year and a half, and they did, and the game came out. And everyone cried and complained that the game is, it's a mile wide and an inch deep. There's nothing to do. And Star Citizen said, we're not going to do anything, just keep on developing. And so it was a risk they took. No one's actually done what they did in that business direction. And if you look now and say, which game is more successful in the next 5 to 10 years? Is it going to be Elite Dangerous or is it going to be Star Citizen? And I think we know the answer.
I mean, we know the one that's going to fail for sure. It's because it just looks like it's going that way with Elite. And like you said, anything can happen with SC.
So much, because I loved Elite Dangerous. I got the VR headset just to play that, because amazing VR experience.
Yes, there's so much good about it.
I love Elite Dangerous. But the problem they hit was they made an engine to be a certain way, and here's the game. Now they can't. They're driving down the highway and they can't change the tires right now because the car's already driving. With CIGs, they're still building the car.
Yep.
Yeah. So definitely in that sense, I think CIG made the right decision. Although, the amount of flack they got from media and everyone else for the way they ran things, still very debatable. But I think it's very clear about who the winner is in the long run between Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen.
For sure. You mentioned that that like who knows, this could be the peak year for funding. Obviously we don't know, but this it instantly gave me an interesting thought that I thought I'd ask you. Is somebody said something many years ago. We're talking Wingman's Hangar days. Okay, we're going all the way back to Wingman's Hangar, and somebody said something and made a comment either in the chat or somewhere. But I remember hearing this, and I'll never forget it. Is the worst day for Star Citizen will be the day it releases, because we can no longer imagine things. We can know, like, a lot of the what was so successful about Star Citizen is thinking about what it could be, not what it ends up being.
Great topic.
Yeah,
because. All right. So for that argument, I would say there are so many people, and I mean, I don't want to say I've done proper polling on this, but I talk to my neighbors, and these guys are kind of casual gamers, and I tell them about Star Citizen. They go, "Is the game out?" They go, "Well, not really. I mean, you can buy a ship, and there's certain things you can do."
Yeah.
And they go, "Okay, tell me when it's out. I'll come take a look when the game's out."
Sure.
I think your average person that is reasonably intelligent and sane will wait for a completed product.
Yep.
Not like the crazies we have right now who are buying, $1,000 javelins because the game might be out 1 year and you can't even fly the ship.
Yeah.
Majority of the people I speak to who are outside our bubble will only buy this game once it is out.
Yep.
So I feel the day that Squadron 42 is released, there'll be big sales.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be the worst day. I think it'll be a very good day. And what happens after that, I mean, that's really dependent on Star Citizen. I think they keep on making ships. I think they keep on selling new ships all the time.
Yeah.
And funding continues. So I know where you're coming from. You're saying it might be the worst day because perpetual development is going so well. But so many people outside of this bubble here don't want to buy a unfinished game. Yeah.
I was actually less going from the unfinished game or the perpetual development angle, and more of the CIG is really good at going like, here's this picture, here's what you could do with these things, and since it's not currently in the game, you get to imagine, and you get to think of what it could be like. And I don't know, when I was a kid, I played games and I imagined what I was going to do when I went and played in that universe, or whatever game I was playing, right? I have a very wide imagination. I always have, and I think a lot of people do, and that's one of the things that they've succeeded with. And I notice more and more over time as the game has grown and developed that people don't necessarily like the way mining works, or the way cargo worked, or the way the FPS mechanic, or Death of a Spaceman, and seeing some of these aspects in the game. And I think you're right. So I agree with you, and I'm basically playing devil's advocate here.
We're supposed to be arguing. People came here to watch us argue about stuff.
Sorry, I'm playing devil's advocate here, though. Is the idea of when they see what the game actually is, because in a lot of ways nobody knows. Nobody knows what's in Chris's head. They spew it out there occasionally, but we don't know what a really sort of finished product may look like. We have an idea. We have a general idea, but a lot of like what an end game type content might look like. Is my org and your org going to be fighting over a space station one day? We don't know those answers necessarily. We're not 100% sure on those.
In fact, I'll make a point of doing that.
Yes. I won't, because I don't want to fight, but I do want to participate in the fight in a different way, I guess. The tough part here is, and I know it sounds all up in the air, but he's creating a universe, right? And to use the word I hate the most, metaverse, where everyone out there who has no idea about gaming and has no idea about VR is imagining this beautiful metaverse where you put on your VR and you exist in this wonderful place. That's actually what Chris Roberts is creating, where you pick up this soda can and you put the soda can down next to a tree in a forest. It's a coffee cup, excuse me. It's the coffee cup. I don't know. He just always talks about the coffee cup. I don't know.
All right.
It's like a big meme.
Cup. And so the persistence and everything they keep pitching, that everything, if you're in a room, things should move around and things should do how they should in real life. Like they're trying to build that, right? And so that sandbox, if they do the sandbox right, much like Eve did, which I praised early on, when you do the sandbox correct from the beginning, it carries itself. So that's the struggle right now, basically, is getting the sandbox to the point where there's enough people, enough things to do in it. But they're close. The technology is to be proven. We're still waiting for the Jesus patch of all the meshing and everything else. But if they do it, then we are looking at what the mass media is calling the metaverse being created right here, just not with crypto.
In a lot of ways, sure. Yeah. I think that but you did mention it earlier, is that Eve had this incredible economy simulation or whatever, right? That certainly aids in making the sandbox that they have really successful. And I'm not saying that what they're doing is unsuccessful in Star Citizen. I'm not saying I don't like it. But I do see occasionally people comment that they don't like this direction of this thing. They don't like that direction of that thing. And I'm only making like the just casual point of, I wonder if all these people who are invested in buying ships now and get excited about these things, if those people would be still interested in the game that they invested in or purchased or whatever you want to call it, pledged for. And I think you're more along the lines and being correct of, wow, this game looks cool. It's released. Sure, I'll buy it, check it out. I'll play it for a little while, or I'll fall in love with it and play it a lot.
I think that's a trap a lot of people fall into all the time, where they imagine what a game should be like first. Mm-hmm. And then the game comes out, and it's not exactly what they imagined when they closed their eyes and lay in bed and like played it in their heads before there was anything to play. And then the game comes out, and it's not that. They lose their minds.
Yeah. I think this game might suffer from that significantly, just because of the way things have been over the last 10 years and the way they market this game and they sell their game a certain way, and they absolutely feed on that imagination from players. And you could say what you think about it, whether you think it's right, whether you think it's malicious. I don't care personally. It's what they do, and that's what they're doing, and it's not going to stop. But
you're not going to please everyone.
You're not going to please everybody. Exactly.
On the day Squadron 42 releases, a couple of hours after release, there's going to be people saying this is the worst game in history. I tried doing this and it wouldn't work. Then I glitched to the floor of the Javelin and got sucked into the sun or whatever. Worst game ever. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be tons of that. All right. Yeah. Then there'll be people saying this is everything I've ever dreamed. Yep. So it's really, are you setting yourself up for disappointment?
Possibly.
I can't tell you if the game Squadron 42 may bomb. It may be a terrible game. We just don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not setting myself up to the point where I've dreamed about what it may or may not be. When it comes out, I'll play it for what it is, and then we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I worry that this game might suffer from that a little bit more than most, but we'll see. And
I think expectations are high. I think we saw this in Cyberpunk, where Cyberpunk said this was going to happen. Cyberpunk came out. People lost their minds because the NPC did not have the day and night cycle. They said every NPC will have a home. They'll go walking, they'll go shopping, they'll go back to home. And when the game came out and that NPC did not do that, people lost their minds and go, this game is garbage because they didn't do what they said they would do. Yeah. Now, if that's your opinion, that's fine. But I played Cyberpunk. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Just because I understood that what they promised was probably going to be impossible to do
I've waited
on release, and it was, right?
I've waited because I obviously saw the buggy nature of it early and saw that was probably what was going to happen. So I was like, I'll wait. I'll give them some time, let them patch it, and then I'll play it when it's good. And I think it's probably about time to pick it up. There was a recent patch that really cleaned it up, I heard, and I'll give it a go and see if it's good. But
I enjoyed it. Again, I don't go into games with these high expectations of it's going to be life-changing.
This one I did.
Drops, I'm not going to sit there and go, I'm about to play a game which will change my life forever. I mean, that's not the attitude I have. That's just going to be let's see what happens now. Let's see what Gary Oldman does, right?
Yeah, I mean, this one I did. That was the problem is I definitely am one of those people. Like, I came from Ultima Online, and I found out about Star Citizen. Chris Roberts worked on Ultima Online. Many people who worked at the Austin studio worked on Ultima Online, and that was my game. I literally became a poker dealer because I put more time into playing Ultima Online than I did my studies, right? That's why, because and then I found poker in college while I was there. And I found out about the game on an Ultima Online forum, say, hey, remember, Chris worked on this game. He's working on this Kickstarter, and that's how I found it. And it, in a lot of ways, it was everything I wanted from the new version of this really old game. And it is only starting to deliver on that in the last 3 patches.
It's been a long wait. And, if I wasn't running Test Squadron, I think I would have checked out like in 2016 and maybe come back this year.
If I never streamed, same thing. If I never streamed, I would have just played other games.
Kudos, much respect to the streamers who have stuck with Star Citizen, because boy, is that a tough game to stream.
I think from the very, very, very early days, I think the only 2 that are left consistently streaming this game are me and Richard, and we're not even the early days guys. There were people that came before both of us.
Yeah. Captain
It's
Richard,
not easy.
bless his soul. I don't know how he does it day in and day out.
Me neither.
But what a trooper.
he's an angel. He's not of this earth, I don't think. But I just think it's hard. It's hard, but
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
where I came from was I had these expectations. They were not even close to being met. And oh god, now everybody in the chat is mentioning their favorite streamer who came very much after all the people like Geek Domo and those guys from the very, very early days, right? We're talking
big rotation.
everybody. There's people that inspired everybody that you watch today. Those people are no longer here streaming the game because it's not easy. And yeah, so I had these expectations. I no longer have them, and I'm just enjoying the ride a little bit more and just trying to make the game enjoyable for what we have now. I'm very much of this mindset. Please, 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 please make what we have enjoyable enough that it's easy to wait for what you're going to turn it into later. And like something like the inventory system, that's like my biggest frustration right now is they come out and say, hey guys, we didn't have enough time to do like a store all button or stack things. And then they go on, and obviously these guys are working on Squadron 42 now, and it's kind of left there. Those are the things for me that I just feel are like, okay, this is not acceptable. This is what I will kind of go out there and say, hey, I would like you guys to do better when it comes to these aspects, but I'm nowhere near the way I acted and I thought in a lot of ways misbehaved before. I think my frustrations and the things that I try to point out are for the right reasons.
I think we all have our criticisms on how things can be done better.
Yeah.
But they know when they make a decision, take, for example, the HUD on the Glaive. Now, the Glaive is a ship I absolutely loved, but I don't fly it because the HUD is just one thing points there, the other thing points down there, and it's unflyable for me. And I want to fly it, and I want to be angry, like, hey, why aren't you fixing this? But when they explain, well, we have to work on the HUD for all the ships, and once we've done that, then it's simply, we'll apply it to the change to everything at the same time, and I understand it. So it's not that we just have some insight they don't. And like you said before, like the guys we know who work there, who've gotten jobs at CIG over the years, who came from the community, they know the same thing and they feel the same thing we do.
Sure.
And so CIG, I believe, they make decisions they know will be unpopular.
Yeah.
And they go, everyone is going to absolutely hate the fact that the Banu Merchantman is not going to be ready for 6 years now.
And they do what they feel they have to do.
And here are the reasons, and like we don't have to agree with it. But again, we don't run the company, and they will make bad decisions, but they'll make good decisions too.
Yeah.
And, end of the day, we just hope there's more good ones than bad ones.
True. And it's hard to say if some are good or some are bad. I don't know. There's just certain things about the current experience that I know you need to pull people over to Squadron. I know you need to do what you need to do. And I know they're doing what they feel they need to do. But in some cases, and that one in particular for me is the one that it's like, hey guys, if it delays Squadron for a month or two, I'll take it. Make the systems in the current experience just playable enough, and I'll be okay with it. And this is like where it's actually unplayable.
But the other thing is, the more they give us, the more we want also.
Yes, of course.
Because
and
once
that's
they
the
give
tough
us Pyro,
part.
and once we've moved our entire fleet to Pyro and we're loving Pyro, we'll go, well, where's Nyx? Where's Spider? Like, how long do we have to wait for this? Like, we'll never be maybe I shouldn't generalize. I'll never be satisfied. As soon as they give me Pyro, I'll go, where's the next one, guys? Like, come on, I've seen everything he's doing Pyro. Like, where's the next one?
I remember specifically saying, and you're so right. I remember specifically saying, all I need to do is to be able to loot a player, and I'll be so happy. And okay, we don't quite have that, but
that's funny. Yeah,
there's many reasons why we don't have that, and I know like PES is coming after that. If the issues that we still arise happen, then I'll say something about that. But the idea of that has definitely come up to me because now I go, okay, we can loot people, but the loot doesn't quite matter. So we need to make the loot matter now for me to be able to loot people and be happy. And then what's after that,
So my thing is, once I can build my base, my pioneer. I'm going to go to a nice
Yep.
moon, overlooking a lake, and I'm going to build my habitat there. It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
I'll be so happy once I can do that. But
But
I
you're not going to
guarantee
have enough
you,
Lego pieces then.
once they give me that ability, and once I've built my base overlooking this beautiful ocean, and I get great sunset, I'll be like, well, now I want this and this and this and this. Like, it's not going to end.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna
You're
continue.
right. You're right for sure. I just want to have an easier time being patient. If that's
I think it comes with age.
yeah.
I notice this a lot with the younger guys when we start off, like they're 19, 18, 19, 20 years old. To wait 6 months is a long time when you're 19 years old.
Yeah.
But once you hit your 30s and your 40s, what's 6 months to you?
Nothing anymore. Right?
Right.
It really isn't. But they go by so fast. I mean, I have gray in my beard now. I was in my 20s when I started.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I have a little less than you, but I'm getting there.
I went gray like the last 3 or 4 years. I just went gray, like, because people who haven't watched my videos in a while, they go, "God damn, Montoya, you got old." And I was like, "Dude, you age the same rate as me. All right, it's gonna happen."
Yeah, it's gonna happen
But
for sure.
the passage of time, like my kids, okay, we're going down to Florida in 3 weeks. 3 weeks is a lifetime to wait
Yep.
when you're a kid, right? It's like forever. So now when they say, okay, the next patch is going to be out in January, like, okay, January, that's soon.
Yeah.
Not that far.
Yeah, and again, like going all the way back to the beginning, the way they communicate it now, I have a lot easier time waiting as well. Because again, they're giving me a little bit of
They
content.
waited for the demographic to get old.
Yeah, maybe that's what they were doing. But now, dude, with all these guys coming in, it's about to get younger again. So we'll see.
True. Yeah,
We'll see.
a lot of young guys coming in. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Well,
I think this is a good stopping off point, though. So,
it is.
yeah. I really appreciate you coming on, and I thought it was a fun conversation. I think everybody enjoyed it. I was kind of following along with the chat.
I haven't seen any. I'm in the wrong window, maybe.
What's that?
Is there a chat I was supposed to be reading?
No, I'm glad you didn't, though, because I always have to tell people that it's like, hey, guys, this is a podcast, a conversation between you and me. There are flies on the wall in this, and sometimes people pay attention to the chat, and my chat is definitely trolly in a lot of ways.
That's fine. Look, we all have our own audiences. My audience hates you, Mike.
I know.
They can't stand you. But that's how it works.
Yeah. It's sad that that's how it works. And I'm trying to change those minds a little bit and just be like, hey, I've been reasonable and
you don't need to change minds. Like, everyone can make up their own mind. But at the end of the day, I think all the content creators in Star Citizen, whether you on the side where CIG can do no wrong to the CIG is only doing wrong, end of the day, everyone just wants to play the game. And that's the one underlying factor we have in common.
Yeah, 100%. Everybody wants the game to be good, and everybody just wants to play it. And I'm just happy that it's in a better place where I can. And I have been, so it's nice. I don't think I would have ever played it as much without the state that it's in now. But, all right, Mike.
And I got to say, as a sign-off here, it's been a pleasure having a conversation with you. I know we haven't spoken since 2016, maybe?
CitizenCon 2016. And it was like in passing. I remember it like it was yesterday. In passing, like walking upstairs. And I was pretty drunk, I think, at the time. I don't even drink anymore.
Oh, yeah. I'm obviously drinking less, too. It turns out that once you get older, the hangovers go from 6 hours to 3 days.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But it has been a pleasure, and I love catching up with the OGs like you. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And to Mike's audience, it's been a pleasure, guys. I enjoy your comments always.
They're not my audience if they're unenjoyable comments. Trust me.
No, they're great. You do have a very passionate and supportive audience, which is exactly what you deserve also.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And I love you. I really, really, like, everything I've said is the honest to God truth. I really, really enjoy your content, and I look forward to every video that comes out because it's informative and it's fun and it's been good. I've really appreciated your stuff. So thank you.
I know we're dragging this closing off, but I always find the content creators have always been supportive of each other through this also because it is tough.
Yes.
Star Citizen is a tough game to try to be positive on. Or even, just kind of be critical on all the time. It's draining.
We're all in the same foxhole.
But all the content creators, have been very supportive, and I love meeting up with everyone and looking forward to the next one.
Yes, can't wait. All right, man. Thanks for coming on again, Montoya. Be good. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. All right, so that was fun. That was Montoya. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, I mean, he's a guy I've been looking forward to talking to just one-on-one for a long time because we never really got the opportunity to. So it's nice to talk to him and all that. So I really appreciate for him coming on. And yeah, because it's very early in the morning for him as well. So it's a big deal. So as always, for the YouTube stuff, if you like the video, like it, all that stuff. And am I going to make a react video to this podcast? Maybe. So I will react to me reacting to, yeah, we'll do all that. So thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.